The empty places. Chapter 1. The Return. The train rumbled into the station as Emma stepped off, her heart pounding in her chest. She hadn't been back to Ravenswood in a decade, and the memories of her childhood here were both cherished and haunting. As she walked through the quiet streets, she was greeted by a mix of curiosity and suspicion from the locals, who seemed to be watching her every move. The town had changed little since she left, but something felt different. There was an air of unease that hung in the atmosphere, as if everyone knew a secret she wasn't yet aware of. Emma's hand trembled slightly as she unlocked the door to her childhood home, a place filled with memories both happy and painful. She took a deep breath, trying to push away the anxiety building within her. The house looked much the same as she remembered, but there was an unsettling silence that seemed to follow her wherever she went. As she unpacked her few belongings, she couldn't shake the feeling that someone or something was watching her from the shadows. She tried to convince herself it was just the stress of moving and the lingering anxiety of returning to a place that held so many painful memories, but deep down, she knew there was more to this feeling than just nostalgia. Chapter 2. The Familiar Strangers. The days passed in a blur as Emma tried to re-establish her life in Ravenswood. She reached out to old friends and acquaintances, hoping to find some comfort in their company. But as she spent time with them, she noticed that their behavior was increasingly strange and evasive. They would avoid certain topics and seemed to go out of their way to steer conversations away from anything remotely suspicious. Emma couldn't help but feel a growing sense of unease, as if there was something they were desperately trying to hide from her. She tried to push the feeling aside, convincing herself that it was just her imagination or the lingering anxiety of returning home after so many years away. But the more she thought about it, the more real it seemed. That night, Emma found herself alone in her childhood home once again. The silence was oppressive, as if the very air had been sucked out of the room. She paced back and forth in the living room, her thoughts swirling around the strange behavior of the people she'd encountered since returning to Ravenswood. She wondered what they were so afraid of and why they seemed to be watching her so closely. As the night grew darker, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that something or someone was lurking in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike. She tried to tell herself it was all in her imagination, but the darkness seemed to close in around her, making it impossible to ignore the eerie presence that seemed to be growing stronger with each passing minute. Chapter 3. The Last Goodbye. One morning, as Emma sifted through old boxes in the attic of her childhood home, she discovered a hidden journal belonging to her best friend, Lily, who had gone missing years ago under mysterious circumstances. The entries revealed a desperate struggle to escape Ravenswood and a growing fear that something sinister was at work within the town. As Emma read the haunting words, she felt a chill run down her spine, realizing that she might be trapped in a similar situation. The journal described an eerie presence that seemed to be following Lily wherever she went, an unseen force that made her feel as if she were being watched from the shadows. As Emma continued to read, she found herself increasingly drawn into Lily's world, feeling her friend's fear and desperation firsthand. She knew she had to find out what had happened to Lily and why Ravenswood was shrouded in such darkness. But as she delved deeper into the journal and its cryptic messages, Emma began to realize that she might be fighting a battle against forces beyond her control. And as the night fell once again, Emma found herself facing an unimaginable truth, one that would change her life forever.